Hello, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us. I'm Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live, where we'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Radio Network on Zingo TV channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me is Aaron William Freeland. And before we continue, I'd like to remind the folks who had difficulty connecting with Zingo TV in the past little while that Microsoft problem that was around the world affected us. And I didn't realize it until somebody called me and said, I can't find Zingo TV. Well, I think you can find it now. Hey, Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right, Frank. How are you?
Good. He's Aaron William Freeland. And Aaron, how are things going for you right now?
Well, not too bad. I'm getting to that age finally where it appears I might finally be out of warranty and things are slowly starting to break down. But other than that, things are all right. Got to go in for your standard tests every once in a while, like a maintenance checkup, to make sure that not everything is broken, and we keep on trucking.
My doctor looked under the hood and he screamed.
Was that bad? Was it?
Yeah, just kind of, he said maybe time for you to go look at a new used vehicle. So we're looking at the knees. The knees are suffering from old age, and the pain it can be a little excruciating just lying in bed. So yes, that's what I got to look forward to, possibly surgery. I'm trying to get apparently not many therapists believe in OHIP. So as a senior, I'm entitled to 6 visits a year. And, but not many of them participate with OHIP, which means you have to pay. And so that's something, I mean, let's face it, no matter how much money you have, you don't like spending it if you don't have to.
It's curious to me. I thought that the Ford government had received billions from the federal government that was to be earmarked for public health spending, especially in Ontario. And you said that you have to pay. That sounds like they're trying to get us onto a 2-level system.
Well, no, it's just that participation isn't required. Right. So that's one of the differences over the years that's been established, where if you're a doctor, you can say no.
How far out of your way would you have to go to find somebody who could, treat you under OHIP rules?
There's somebody close by, but 3-month wait.
Well, I mean, at least there's somebody close by. That's at least partially relief.
And I suppose if I was willing to drive an hour, I could probably find somebody in a month. I suppose. But so far, no luck. But I'm trying. I'll keep trying. And I just don't want to do it with somebody on a street corner.
No, that's fair.
So I'd like them to have an office, maybe even a piece of paper on the wall that looks official. Those kinds of things. Something that you expect from the government in their supporting our health care program. Where there are minimum requirements, but that's neither here or there. It is what it is, and we do our best to find a way to be healthy, and of course sometimes you need help, and in my case I think I need more than physical help. Okay, I was making a derogatory remark about myself. How bad of me. That's not good. I could get in trouble. Some angry letters would be sent to me. How dare you pick on yourself the way you did?
Well, at least you acknowledge the fact you're picking on yourself, Frank. That's a start as well.
I know better, right? Okay, let's talk about my favorite sport in the summer, and that is the Canadian Football League. And let's start with the Rough Riders and Red Blacks. They have a discussion over who should win a football game, and neither of them could actually decide.
It was a really interesting game to watch. I don't think I've ever seen a game that actually looked as rainy as it actually seemed to be. That was, I got to say, quite something there, Frank. Um, I don't know about you, but I was actually genuinely concerned for a lot of these players, especially in the conditions that they were trying to play in. But the fact that they ended up in a 22-22 tie, is good. It's unfortunate Drew Brown was out because of a leg injury in the first half. I'm glad to see Dustin Crum finished with a 21 and 32 record with 211 passing, 72 yards on the ground, and an interception. Glad to see Dominique Rhymes leading the way for receivers with 72 yards on 5 catches. That being said, this was one of those games where it did always seem to be in question, and that made for a very exciting game despite the conditions.
The question still hasn't been answered. Which team won?
Neither.
Exactly. The answer to that question is no winner. But there was a winner in BMO, at BMO in Toronto, and the Argonauts did that. They won the rematch against the Stampeders. I don't know about this game. Another one of these games where, no, you take the ball. No, well, okay, I'll take the ball. No, I'll take the ball. You take the ball. Here, you score points. No, I don't want to score points. You score points. No, I don't want to score points either. And then they started scoring points, and it was an interesting game, and one that, as the game wore on, more positives came out of it for the Argonauts, something that didn't come out from the fourth quarter of the last game to the first half of this game.
No, that is true. That is very true. It was a very, very well balanced game, all things considered, all the way up until about halfway through the third quarter, and you just sort of realized that the Argonauts were probably going to end up walking away with it, no matter how hard they tried to give it back to Calgary.
No kidding. It's so true. But you know what? A good game for the Argonauts, something they needed. They're over 500, and now there's conversations with the league. The league is formulating a final decision on the Kelly situation. They're on a 1 week hiatus because of the bye week that the Argos have, and the question is going to come out eventually. The answer to the question of when will he start, it seems to me it'll in the next week or so. We're going to find out whether and when Kelly will get the opportunity to return to the lineup with the Toronto Argonauts, and then from that point practice with them, and then figure out when he can get his first start. There's a lot of speculation that it could be Labor Day, his first game back against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. No pressure whatsoever.
There are a fair bunch of Argos fans that want to see him come back sooner rather than later. There are other fans who would prefer if he never came back at all. Then there are other fans that would like to see the CFL certify that he has completed the requirements as set forth in the suspension that was originally set down on May 7th. I know that the league did announce on Saturday that they'd received Kelly's confidential psychological assessment, which was a requirement as part of a suspension, and will make an examination of the results along with the help of other experts before making the decision as to whether or not he can return. It has been a grand total now of 11 games. So this is where the rubber meets the road. If he has completed it to their satisfaction and can continue to demonstrate to the league that he is not a complete a-hole, then their chances are very good that he'll be back. But if he makes it back by Labor Day, awesome. If he makes it back a little later in the season, awesome. At least for those fans that want to see him back.
Well, he's made mistakes. He's getting a chance to remedy those mistakes, and hopefully he comes out of the other side as a better person and one that doesn't put himself in this situation again. That's the hope I think that everybody has, and on behalf of him and everybody else and the league, of course, because this kind of behavior is unacceptable. Hopefully he's learned his lesson, and the league is going to tell us that he's done enough to prove that he's learned his lesson. And that's the $1 million question right now that stands in the way of him getting under center for the Toronto Argonauts again. Another thing I wanted to mention about the Ticats, when we were talking about the Ticats and losing twice, Bo Levi Mitchell did not get the opportunity to continue as the starter. Do you think, Aaron, that Are they sitting him out for a prolonged period, or are they just giving him a time to have his? Because a lot of people don't believe, especially Ticats fans, don't believe he's the problem.
I'm almost inclined to agree with some of those Ticats fans in that he isn't necessarily the issue in Hamilton. He may need an extra game or two to get his head right, to maybe work himself around to where the coaching staff are coming at this from. I mean, that it could be something as simple as that. It could be something as simple as not necessarily knowing the playbook as well as he should. I
Staying,
honestly don't know what's been happening in Hamilton this season. I really don't.
well, they are prone to mistakes, and those mistakes
Yeah.
have been costly. And it's like anything else, your positive gameplay can't overcome your negative gameplay, and and that means that you end up losing. Staying with former starting quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League, this one in the NFL, Rourke got picked up by the Falcons and was given a chance under center in an exhibition game. People said he did a pretty good job, but then he was immediately released by the Falcons. This is getting weird. I mean, weird.
Definitely weird. I mean, he led 4 drives with 2 resulting in 3 and outs and 2 resulting in turnovers on downs. He completed 3 of 13 passes for 37 yards, although there were apparently 3 very catchable passes that got dropped, plus ran for 24 yards. Washington couldn't snag a pass in the end zone from Rourke, and H.E.R was unable to haul in multiple throws, including a fade on Atlanta's last offensive snap. Kirk Cousins didn't play. 8th overall pick Michael Penix Jr. completed 9 of 16 for 104 yards, where Taylor Heineke completed 4 of 11 for 11 yards during his time on the field. So it doesn't seem like there's necessarily an issue with performance. I mean, Rourke definitely outplayed Heineke. If you look at the 4 for 11 versus 3 for 13 for more yards and more yardage on the ground, it's curious as to why he just can't seem to latch on.
No, and it's like the immediacy of his departure from teams is getting to be habitual and predictable, for that matter.
Here's the thing. No, it's not even that. Rourke was set for $915,000 US if he stuck on the active roster for the entire 2024 season. Heineke would have been released, and it would have saved the team $1.21 million. I don't know if they may need that extra $300,000 further down the road, or if they decided that they only needed the $915 from Rourke. I'm not sure what's going on. There does seem to be some cap shenaniganery at least going on in this situation, but man,
it's strange.
it's really weird.
It's such a dominant quarterback in the Canadian Football League, and we've seen dominant quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League go to the NFL and do very well. This one here is it just keeps becoming curiouser and curiouser. Let's move over to baseball and a little alphabet series, the Jays and the A's, and Guerrero had his hit streak end, so the Jays lose, not because of his hit streak ending. I mean, it would have helped if his hit streak didn't end, but it did, and they lost 8-4. Aaron, what happened in this game?
Well, the unfortunate thing is Guerrero ended up hitting into his second double play in as many innings in his final at-bat on Sunday. After 22 games, he just finally seems to have gone just a little bit cold. This is their second straight defeat to drop their series to the Oakland Athletics. The Jays are 54-64. The A's are 50-69. So we can see where the issue is here. H.E.R has got Guerrero into a ground out to short in the first inning, and a fly ball to right on the fourth, and then a double play in the seventh. Michael Otanez also got Guerrero to hit into a double play in the eighth inning with runners on first and second, and 3 runs already in. It just didn't look like he was having the day that he needed to have at that point.
Absolutely. What do you do in that case? I don't know. Okay, let's go over to the National Hockey League, and we love hockey, of course. And we see in the NHL the Flames look to be maybe looking for assets and trading to get them by sending players away.
Well, going into free agency, it just seemed like they were in the mood to sell, especially when they got rid of excuse me, Jacob Markstrom to the New Jersey Devils. Potentially the last of the big names that were dealt in an effort to sell assets and pivot towards an eye in the future and putting some more prospects and trade bait into the cupboards. They traded Tyler Toffoli, Elias Lindholm, Andrew Mangiapane, Nikita Zadorov, Chris Tanev, and Noah Hannafin. That's a lot of players to unload.
That's the core of that team the past
right
that was left.
And I mean, now they're going to try to build a team. I guess they're going to try to build around Nazem Kadri again. Because he's like one of the few big names that are left. But you've got Andrei Kuzmenko, who's in the final season of a deal that he originally signed with the Canucks. There's also Rasmus Anderson. Sorry, he's got 2 years remaining on his current deal. He's the kind of player who could be in for a hefty contract raise. At the very least, we know he's going to ask for one. Then you've also got Anthony Mantha, who signed to a 1-year deal in free agency. Now, this is, I think it comes across as more of a show-me deal than anything else. But if Mantha produces, his $3.5 million salary will become easy for contenders to accommodate if the Flames are going to eat 50% at the trade deadline. He's only 29. He's had a few 20-plus goal seasons in his NHL career. So there is that possibility there as well. But they seem to be, trying to get rid of as much as they can. Everything but the girl.
Leaf Brad Trail Living, the GM they have right now, came from Calgary, and this pretty much gets rid of any of the major assets that he brought in except for Nazem Kadri.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to divest themselves of any of the players that their former GM brought in. So it's an interesting look for them.
There's a proud bit of news coming out of Edmonton. They're very proud of this. They're very interested in this young defender they have. Tell us about him.
Right. After not being able to try to get himself a full-time role, Broberg is finally projected to be a full-time NHLer this coming season. He's 23 years old with only 81 NHL games on his resume. He was the 8th overall pick in 2019. I guess a lot of people are going to be questioning whether or not he can actually live up to his draft pedigree. Most top 10 draft picks who haven't played a full NHL season by age 23 would be described as busts. But from his own draft class, he's outplayed only Alex Turcotte, who is 5th overall amongst top 10 picks, and he's only played 32 games. So other defensemen who have been picked up around the same spot that Philip Broberg was include Quinn Hughes, Mikhail Sergachev, Zach Werenski, and Ivan Provorov. All of these guys have had, before the same age in their careers, had multiple full seasons. So he is actually at this point here looking to go for a better run with the Oilers this upcoming season.
Let's go with the NFL and the Guardian cap. There's some players in the Canadian Football League that wear it. Tell us a little bit about that. And one of the players is wearing, one of the only players in the NFL, in fact, that's wearing one.
Right. It's actually an interesting one here. Indianapolis Colts running back Jonathan Taylor was wearing the cap during Sunday's preseason game against the Denver Broncos. It does look a little bit weird when the camera zooms in, especially with the fact that they've tried to shoehorn the Colts logo on a rubber stretchy cover over it. I saw some of the footage from some of the highlights. It looks a little off, but other than that, it's not really as much of a distraction as it appears to be in practices, where they're just left unadorned and black and sitting on these dudes' heads.
It's like that scratch on the car that you have that you noticed, and you keep seeing it because you know it's there until you forget it's there, and then everything becomes normal again. You just forget about that one and look at the new scratch. That that's just the way it is. I mean, you're right. Well, because it makes his helmet look, well, simply a lot bigger than the other helmets, so it does look kind of odd. But we want to remind people, and people need to know, that this is an additional protection that the leagues are offering to their players. One that is, I think, a good thing. It's not political showmanship. It's an actual act that helps protect players. That Guardian cap is something that helps players, prevents concussions that much more. So I salute the leagues for allowing the players to wear them, and I salute the players for wearing them who are, It's almost like the Philadelphia Flyer. Remember they had the total
Cooperalls.
pants, the
Yeah.
Cooperalls, how silly they looked. Well, there was a good idea there. It just didn't pan out. Will this pan out? Well, I think what will happen, and it won't surprise me, Aaron, that there will be a kind of modification to the Guardian cap that will meet halfway with the original helmet. And the helmets may, it makes the NFL and the CFL realize that players need more protection if they want it. So we'll see what happens and how that affects the helmets and the basic standard, which is the helmet.
Now, my one concern in all of this is that players that are wearing the Guardian caps are going to get keyed on, and you're going to see more helmet to helmet hits because they're wearing the additional protection, which is the justification for more headshots when players wear a visor because, hey, they're already wearing a face covering. I may as well try to hit them harder. That's
Yeah.
the one concern that I have with all of this because, speaking as a former athlete, we're dumb. It's just the way it
Well,
works sometimes.
I think the point you're making, I'll put it a different way, and I think make the same point. When helmets became the norm in in hockey in the NHL, the sticks seemed to rise with the helmets, with the arrival of the helmets.
Yeah. So it's just
It,
something to be aware of and something to keep an eye on going forward. I mean, this is certainly an interesting development, and I'm glad to see that Jonathan Taylor has taken the step to put it on. So more power to him.
I salute the intent. That's what I do. All right, let's talk about BC and the Indigenous nation closing BC's Chilcotin River Bridge, citing riverbank cracks. What's up with that? Sounds like
So
safety issue.
it is definitely a safety concern. It's the bridge at Farwell Canyon on Farwell Canyon Road, south of Williams Lake. It was closed due to concerns for public safety. There were a couple photos that appeared to be large that showed that appeared to show large and lengthy cracks in the landscape above the river, saying that and it did look like the log jam and the floodwaters that had impacted the bridge and had formed basically a dam there were in danger of actually wrecking it. So they've closed that. There's flood advisories along both the Fraser and the Chilcotin rivers. They were lifted last Thursday as flows returned to normal levels, but the fact of the matter is the damage is still there. So they're continuing to take it a little bit easy with that particular bridge, just because there is the potential for disaster.
Let's talk about Jasper. As we all know, a major fire happened there, and a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of businesses burned down. Now we're starting to do kind of an inventory and of the people who have left, and we're at the stage now where people are dribbling back to the community. How's that going?
Well, the word that actually has come down is that they will actually be able to go back into Jasper as at Friday. Fire officials believe that it has burned down to the point now where it will be safer for them to go back. But Jasper residents are going to be able to go home on Friday, so that's a good thing. This news actually just came out about 45 minutes ago. Shortly before we were due to go live to air, I unfortunately didn't have a chance to add it in, but yeah, they expect to see people returning to Jasper on or around Friday.
Tell me what you want the last story to be.
You know what? I just think it's kind of cool that the Arctic is actually warmer than some places in Florida were over the past couple of days, which is
that a good thing?
It's not a good thing, but it's an interesting thing. I'll tell you that much for sure. There were
Wow.
temperatures actually recorded. If Fort Good Hope was 37 degrees Celsius, Colville Lake was 30, Little Chicago was 36.3 degrees. Those are sites north of the Arctic Circle that were hitting these temperatures. So it's definitely something that we need to be concerned about. Global warming is a thing, people. They're also looking at Yellowknife of it being the driest year on total, with only 64 millimeters of rain through August 11th. So this is definitely something to be concerned about.
The world is getting warmer in a lot of places, and the biggest thing is that the ocean's getting warmer means there's less plankton. Less plankton means there's less life in the oceans, and that can't be a good thing because I believe in the circle of life.
I'm with you, Frank.
Oh, good. I was waiting and hoping you were. Thanks for doing this, Aaron.
Hey, glad to be here, Frank.
For Aaron William Freeland, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching already. Don't forget Candid Frank Stanisci on YouTube. Ciao for now.